I think all of us are trying to figure out what's that balance between humans, human employees, and technology.
Take your current job description and ask the AI. And ask the AI how likely it is that this job will be here this year, next year, and the year after, and give you a percentage.
Are you okay with AI doing a 70 to 80% of what a human could do? How do humans separate themselves in terms of the quality of work that's been done? And how are people thinking about that?
I don't think entry-level people will be out of the job market. I think that, especially in our business, we find opportunities for entry-level people that want to be powered by AI.
I think it's getting harder and harder to break through the noise.
You have to bring the energy, and it's less about maybe how many years you've been on the planet, but more about what's the value that you're going to add.
Joel Lalgee and Marcus Sawyerr welcome you to AI in Recruiting, the show where they break down how AI is transforming hiring, leadership, and the future of work. Expect real talk, smart tools, and bold conversations with the people shaping what's next. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome to AI in Recruiting, the only podcast you need to listen to if you're looking to learn about how and what the future of recruiting is looking like with AI. I'm joined by my host, as always, Marcus Sawyerr. Marcus, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. Good to see you. Good to talk to you. Excited to have the conversation and share what's been going on in the world of AI in recruiting.
Likewise. And for anyone who is joining us, maybe it's the first time, maybe you've joined us in the past, we are entering a new time period with our podcast, which is super exciting. We've done the audio show, we've done LinkedIn Lives, and this is all over the last 18 months. And we're super excited now to have a podcast format where we'll be able to have the consistency, really build community, have interaction, have a little bit more structure. So great to be here with you as well. Maybe we should do a quick intro for just anyone who hasn't tuned in before.
Yeah, why not? I think it would be good to share a little bit of background and maybe how did we get to connect with each other? We were actually on a panel, right? Years ago, and we connected during COVID. It's funny saying that because that was, if you think COVID-19 at some point 6 years ago, right?
Crazy.
So yeah, I think we connected on a panel. My background has been in the staffing and recruiting space for the last 18 years. I spent 10 years at Career Builder, and I spent 5 years as a global president of the Adecco group, one of the largest staffing recruiting firms in the world. And I was responsible for buying, building, and investing in HR tech companies. And in the last 4 years, been building EQ community that started out as a community and then went into becoming an AI R&D lab for AI in recruiting. And more recently, we've been launching products that integrate into the recruiting workflow for staffing and recruiting firms to really help them leverage AI at scale. So in that workflow. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Joel, why don't you share a bit about your background? And I think you won't say this, but the headline you need to know is Joel has been viewed over how many millions of times, Joel?
Billions.
Billions of times.
Billions.
All right. So why are people viewing your posts that you do billions of times? Oh.
Yeah. Well, I think I was talking about this in a class I was teaching around LinkedIn. I think relatability, authenticity, and I think with the content, I talk about work, the world of work, culture, and trying to have just real, at times, like corporate conversations. Obviously, corporate can mean a lot of different things. Sometimes it can get fluffy. Sometimes, we could talk in circles. I like to just have content that's real, talking about things that are happening. Cover a lot about the news around what's going on in the world of work, whether it's layoffs, whether it's CEO salaries getting announced, whether it's advancements in technology, whatever it is. I like to cover it, have those real conversations. So I've been in the recruitment space for a decade on the agency side. So helping companies with different talent needs and worked with a ton of different companies, and then built this online brand as well, which has opened up a ton of doors. So like connections with people like yourself, Marcus, and yeah, and then we've been doing this show together, collaborating for a year and a half, coming up to 2 years. We've done live events, we've done live shows together. So excited to have the podcast format. I was going to ask you in your introduction. I don't think you mentioned this. How long have you been having the AI conversation? Because for a lot of people, AI conversation is the last, whatever, 2 years. How long have you been talking about AI?
Well, I
How long have you
first,
been doing things with AI? I should say, not just talking.
yeah, it's interesting because in 2013 at Career Builder, we bought a company called Text Kernel. So shout out to Text Kernel and Yakub. I always shout out Yakub. That was when I first started to learn about AI. We had integrated Text Kernel into the Career Builder family of products. And I was tasked to go to Amsterdam at the time and spend some time with Jakub and team and learn more about AI. And after that, I had then, as mentioned, moved to Adecco, but I was selling AI natural language processing at the time. And then I started to get more involved in the product. And then by 2018, and it's well documented, I was talking online for LinkedIn actually about the future of AI and recruiting. And I made some predictions about 5 years. And yeah, it's 7 years on now. So my journey is going to be, it's going to be coming up to 10 years in the next 3 years within AI. And just look, and it's super new as well to me, even though I've been in it for a long time. But I think one of the big things that I have learned is it's really important to leverage the technology to focus on what you want to get solved. And we want to try and make this show and this podcast as practical as possible to give you insights and information as well as entertainment, but just like how you can solve challenges by leveraging AI. So yeah, super excited to share what I know and also start to get the audience participation. And we'll talk a little bit about that a bit later on in the show today.
I love it. And you also have the AI business update as well that people can subscribe to. A community of what, 20,000 people now?
Yeah, so we've been building this community on Substack. We have 20,000 people that subscribe to the newsletter that we put out weekly. And the newsletter really just gives people updates on what's going on with AI in recruiting and generally in business at large. So it's free to use, free to subscribe, free to get access to information. I just want to give out as much information as possible because I've learned two things with information. If you give it out, number one, you retain it yourself. Number two, somebody might do something a lot better than you could do with it. And if that helps someone else, then it will help you in the end. So happy to share what I know. And yeah, really excited to continue the information exchange. And you and Joel, we talked about this before, but I think one of the things that I think is worth noting is if we think about social media, that was one of the first discussions that we had. And
Yeah.
the fact that you have been able to overcome the algorithm with your content as well as remain authentic. That algorithm is AI, right? So why don't you talk a little bit about how you're seeing maybe your world and social media evolving within AI at the moment?
Yeah, I think quite a few people I think have started to talk about this over the last couple of years. It's been a massive shift, and the catalyst was a platform called TikTok. And so the TikTok algorithm probably was the first algorithm that really focused on interests. So you think about social media, you think about how you use it. It's all about your interests, all about entertainment. Now we're adding in another component with search, where you'll find that people will search topics, whether you're looking to know how to do something or you want to know about a current event that's going on. And so these algorithms are focused on two things, like what you're interested in and then searching. And so what I realized with kind of that shift is that there was a point where people would follow people, and whatever content they put out, they would still follow it. And that meant the more followers you had, the more visibility you had.
Right.
It's almost like a mailing list, right? I got 100,000 followers, great, my content's gonna be seen by those 100,000 people. That playbook is just out of the window, and so now most of the platforms, probably with the only exception would be LinkedIn, which is still based on who you connected to, who you know, your network. Every other platform is all about, can you put out content that's gonna be relevant, interesting, and entertaining? So the algorithm has just become more, what are people actually interested in? Can I create content that is relevant to what they care about? And, it's a huge challenge. So I think anybody who's in that content creation space, anyone who's looking to be a content creator, that's what you focus on. It's like the algorithm is so in tune to what people are interested in that moment. And so it's a constant battle to stay relevant, stay interesting, listen to your audience, engage with them. And the playbook is constantly changing because of
Yeah.
that. So whatever you did a year ago probably isn't working now. But that's also fun, right? And I feel like it's a lot like that in business, whether you're in recruiting, sales, marketing. People are changing, people are shifting, technology's shifting, and so it's all intertwined. Really gotta stay engaged, curious, and stay in touch with what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, look, staying ahead is key. I do think I've noticed that the LinkedIn algorithm's changed. Um, yeah, no, the LinkedIn algorithm's changed, and the reason I've noticed that is you have a certain amount of followers and you can see the impressions, and so
Yeah.
either less people are logging onto LinkedIn and viewing the content, or less people are seeing it. But I find that there's certain types of content that shows up in a feed that maybe is probably less, let's say it's less instructive or important from a business standpoint, but
Yeah.
it's more visually appealing.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, AI and recruiting, what are we talking about today? What is something that you have noticed that's worth us having a conversation about? Obviously, we've done a newsletter just this week as well, so we can dive into that. But anything on your mind at the moment, Joel, that you wanted to dive into?
Yeah, I think, and it goes along with what's going on in the news. We're seeing a lot of companies right now restructuring, and obviously restructuring is nothing really new,
Hmm.
but a lot more people, a lot more companies now are saying we're restructuring for AI, or we're restructuring for efficiency. We're restructuring, and really what they're trying to do is figure out what I think all of us are trying to figure out. What's that balance between human employees, and technology? And we're seeing this. We're just consistently seeing this shift, and I think for recruiting leaders, for HR leaders, it's for recruiters, it's getting a little bit more future focused and going, okay, what are the potential openings people are going to have?
Yeah.
What are the types of skill sets we need to be looking for to prepare for hiring that's going to take place for these new roles? And I think for HR, it's a lot of looking at, how are we going to almost reorganize the talent that we have. And I could see the people function almost melding into like a people and tech function. And obviously that goes in with like workforce planning. So
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying that there's a pharmaceutical company that have merged the HR function. So I'm a limited partner in a venture capital firm. And as part of that, there's a bunch of us that advise some of these startups, and as well as obviously having my own startup. And I had a conversation offline, and the conversation was that they had noticed that one of their colleagues at a really, really senior pharmaceutical business, who was in HR, now merging the HR and the IT function. And this is a
so cool.
yeah, it's a multi-billion dollar business. Now, it's cool, but things are evolving.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, there's a lot of quote unquote change happening. So the question is where do you fit into that change and what can you do?
Yeah.
And what we're here to do today is to give you some insights and information on how you can stay ahead. Because what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be following the crowd. I think one of the biggest things that you've got to start doing is auditing your current role and position, because it's being audited right now at the top level. The conversations that we're having, so you're saying about the great, which I'm going to call the great restructuring.
Yeah.
Within
A
the
great name for it.
great restructuring, there's an audit going on internally. And that audit is looking at the job, looking at the job description and asking a couple of questions. And you saw it with, I think it was the Shopify CEO. Can this job be done without or with AI?
Yeah.
And then you're going to start to get into the grading section of like what proportion could be done with or without. And to your point, there's an internal impact on maybe a role internally. We're seeing it in our business. So we're actually helping companies really remove all administration from recruiting. So our mission is zero admin. But then on the external side, if you can remove that admin, then if you're recruiting for roles that are in the admin space, you've got to really have a clear understanding of where that market's shifting to. So it's really about staying a couple of steps ahead. It's like, was it Gretzky, skate to where the puck is going? So I'm seeing a lot of that in the space.
It's interesting you say about auditing your own role for, first and foremost. So I think for individuals looking at I guess I would ask you with that audit, what are the types of things you're looking at, and like how do you go about that audit, and how would you best approach that? Because I think for a lot of people that can be a challenge, and maybe that even their own like self bias could come in there, and they could think, well, this isn't something that could be done by technology. Like, how do you do that audit? How do you approach that?
Yeah, so we got a product Copilot called EQ Buddy. You could get access to that, or you could use one of the other platforms that exist. Take your current job description and ask the AI. And ask the AI how likely it is that this job will be here this year, next year, and the year after, and give you a percentage. Just ask the AI if you want an unbiased opinion, and it will give you some perspective, and then drill down, right? So whatever the answer is, ask the AI, are you sure? Best prompt, like follow up. Are you really sure about this? Could you do better? Is this accurate? I need you to be more accurate. And then you'll get an idea of like what areas of your role. And then so I think there's two things. You have a job, obviously. The reason that the job is created is in order for you to achieve an objective. If you see AI agents, they have something which I call OTT, right? So you have objectives, tasks, and tools. The objective is what is the job, the overarching job. Tasks is how you're going to get the job done, and the tools are what you're going to use. A lot of the automation at the moment was happening at the start in the tools section. You were changing the tools. It's moving to the tasks section now. The how. So those tasks are like the breakdown things of what you've got to get done. Like, hey, I need to basically go in and screen a certain amount of candidates. That's a task.
Yeah.
The tools that you might use in order to do that could have been the matching algorithm on your ATS. It could have been an email outreach. It could be a phone call. Could be in person. And with AI, what we're seeing at the moment is some of those tasks are starting to be automated fully. So then the question is like, in your job and also what you're recruiting for, where can you add value? So this is all about adding value to yourself and to your organization. If you're running a business, you know that. Probably a lot of entrepreneurs that are listening to this as well. And you're constantly looking at ways to automate yourself because you don't have the time. But when you're in a job yourself, you don't really proactively go out and do that. And I think that the guiding light for a lot of recruiting companies and also recruiting in-house teams are going to have to be a partner. How do you become a strategic partner, a strategic advisor to the organization to plan for the future workforce?
You had said recently about, or there's a prediction out there around like entry level jobs, admin jobs, right? Those are the jobs that supposedly aren't going to exist. My other question would be from a business perspective. Like, you're a business leader, you're looking to automate jobs out. Are you okay with AI doing a 70 to 80% of what a human could do? Or I guess like how do humans separate themselves in terms of the quality of work that's been done, and like how are people thinking about that? I think of like customer service. Like, are you okay for like 70 to 80%, or like how do you kind of map how well AI can do, and is there a threshold for that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I was at an event just yesterday and I was listening to somebody that's focusing on frontline workers, and they apparently have screened over 1 million candidates. Now, they had asked the candidates, what do you prefer, a human or an AI? And 80% of the candidates said they prefer the AI.
Did they give a reason on why they preferred the AI?
Yeah, because it could work out of hours. because the humans wanted to call them while they were working and they were doing shift work.
Yeah.
If they could call them back any time that was convenient for them, they would ask them the questions that were most relevant. Now, that isn't the end game. That's a screening call.
Yeah, exactly.
After that, you want to speak to the right person. So I think it depends on the type of role itself and where the role, and just think about where you're adding value. Like, I actually don't think that entry-level roles well, it depends on what you call an entry-level role. I don't think entry-level people will be out of the job market. I think that, especially in our business, we find opportunities for entry-level people that want to be powered by AI. And they become just as good as a senior level person. So I think there's also that as well, right? Like a lot of our bigger customers within EQ who are using AI and recruiting are outsourced companies. So they're basically outsourcing a lot of the work and then outsourcing it again to the AIs, right? And so I think there's a huge opportunity for the internal TA teams as well as the staff and the recruiting firms to leverage that. There was a lot in the news at the moment. Did you see the news around JP Morgan cutting 10% of his ops operation?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, look, I think it's like we've been talking about. I think a lot of these enterprise companies are going to be the ones that you see the biggest cuts at. And I also think if you look at the history of your company, if there's been a lot of acquisitions with growth, that should be another red flag. Because when the more acquisitions you have, which obviously in the banking world, it's all about mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah.
The more acquisitions you have, the more job titles you have, and the less definition around those jobs you have. So you end up with a lot of middle management layers.
Overlap.
A lot of overlap, a lot of like red tape to get things done.
Yeah.
A lot of different layers of, like you said, overlap. It's such a great term. So I think we're just going to continue to see more and more of this. And so I also think the longer you've been at a company right now, that could be another potential red flag. Obviously, it's not like a rule. Like the longer you've been at a company, the more susceptible you are. But and it's not true every time. But I think that can be another area to consider. Like, hey, I've been at this company for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm at risk. Where I think there'll be a lot more opportunity in my mind with smaller, leaner companies that haven't built. And I think that eventually that leads to just companies building differently. I think that how companies have built the last 20 or 30 years, I just don't think that works anymore. It's like companies are going to, and a lot of these big companies, they've kind of work backwards now and get to a point where they can start to rebuild if they start to rebuild.
Well, and I think it's also the new companies that are being created. So I was on a call with someone the other day, reached out, and I put my calendar link, I think, on a podcast a while back, and they said that they spoke to someone about using EQ. Person called me, and it was on a video call. I jumped onto the video call, and their phone was like a little bit, the reception wasn't like great. So they finally got the camera on, and the guy that was calling me, he was in a hospital.
Oh.
He's a nurse.
Oh, okay.
And he's leaving that company to set up his own AI-powered nursing recruitment firm. So he called me to say, hey, like, what should they be doing? So I'm seeing that there are a lot of people that are now thinking about setting up their own businesses. So when big companies let go of folks, and if you have enough to survive for a period of time and you have enough knowledge, there's a huge opportunity to start setting up shop. And I think that we're going to actually see the evolution of the micro business. And I think that the micro businesses are going to be the one that are going to start nibbling away at market share in different areas. Obviously, they're still going to have big companies, but I think you're going to have really small companies and huge companies. I think the mid companies may start to get squeezed.
Yeah, funnily enough, I took a cold call yesterday from a guy. For whatever reason, I just felt compelled to take it, and I took it. And this guy, he was an AE. That was his background, so account executive. Just said the job market's terrible. And so the job search got so bad that I decided that it would probably be easier to just set up a business where I make 100 cold calls a day for other businesses, or 100 cold calls a week, whatever that metric is.
How did you get into that point? What was he trying to sell you?
he was trying to sell me marketing services for a company, and I was like, "Interesting." And I was like, "A
Was it any
marketing
good?
co" He was alright, except I told him I wasn't a good prospect, and then he was like, "Well, just set up the meeting with this guy." So I ended up actually taking the meeting because I just
How
thought,
did it go?
"Whatever." I haven't had the meeting yet, so the
Okay.
meeting's the next week. But this guy, he's got 5 clients right now, and he's looking to scale, and so there we go.
Yeah, we're hiring account execs. Um,
There we go.
and yeah, we're
Oh,
hiring
well.
client service. So I used to make 120 cold calls a day at Career.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was a long time ago. But
yeah,
I get your point, right? Like at least he's going out there and trying to do something about it.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
you can be paralyzed in a situation, you could do something about it. It's like there's kind of three tracks.
yeah,
There's a track of like you foresee it. So those listening now are foreseeing it. If you're listening to this podcast, you're trying to figure out what's going on next, right?
yeah,
You're in it and you're trying to make the most of it, like the guy that you were speaking about it, or you
yeah,
get blindsided. And
yeah,
have you ever felt like a blow or been hit or like something's happened to you and you've been blindsided? Like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
yeah,
There's going to be a lot of that,
yeah.
right? Okay, so we've got to keep moving on, right? So what is kind of main topic that we want to discuss today, Joe? I know we've been talking a lot about the overlap, the great restructure, and the direction that jobs are going. Is there something that's top of mind for you right now that you want to get off your chest? All right, let's talk about some of the new stuff that we got coming out with EQ.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We have been speaking to a ton of customers, and it was really about finding out what some of the biggest use cases and problems. And it's still some of the same things that we know in the recruitment space. Is getting what we call RIV talent, so relevant, interested, and verified talent. But big upswing, and as you were talking about earlier, on business development. So we actually created a value-based pricing model, which means that now companies can go in and decide, and there's a recommendation engine that will decide what you buy as far as an outcome for the AI. What are they going to deliver? They're going to deliver you with matched talent, interested, or verified talent. And so that was like a new thing. The other thing as well, as I mentioned earlier, we're hiring. So I've noticed a lot of these AI companies at the moment, some of the recruiting space, quite funny, that I'll say, hey, yes, use our AI recruiting tool and we're hiring. I go through the hiring process and they're using somebody else's ATS. So we're using our own platform to hire. We'll put a link in the note. So you'll go through a screening process with one of our AI agents or have a conversation with you. And we are really dog food in what we're doing. So we're hiring, using the product and giving people access to it. And the other thing as well, we're launching a program to allow companies that are in the technology space that haven't necessarily built AI yet, in ATSs, VMSs, MSPs, and we're starting to integrate with them as well. So there's a few things that are happening on the horizon right now with us.
How are you thinking about with because BD, I think, is getting harder and harder, I think it's getting harder and harder to break through the noise.
Hmm.
How, how do you think people can leverage AI, whether you're doing outbound recruiting, whether you're doing business development, which is a similar thing, right? Sales. How do you kinda keep people in the loop as far as the human goes and leverage technology in the best way? Like, what are you finding is working and what's not working?
Yeah, so we work to the end result and then reverse engineer it. So what are you trying to get done? Obviously, in the end, you want to make a sale,
Yep.
but what's before that sale? And typically it's some kind of meeting, but where the prospect is engaged. Maybe the one that you had earlier might not be the best call because you're not super engaged. You told you're not the ideal prospect. So it's getting down to a point where you speak to your ICP, your ideal candidate profile, your ideal client profile. And in order to do that, the outreach has to be super personalized. In order to do that, you have to do a lot of research. So we're actually working on a few things at the moment where we've been working with some of our current clients, our early adopters and our pioneer program in helping them personalize their BD messaging for each of the prospects that they're going after and then do that at scale. So I think personalization at scale is a huge opportunity, and not it takes some time to get there because there's so many messages, so many emails. You get more emails, so you're going to open less emails, right? But it's all about sending the right message to the right person at the right time. And outside of our industry, it's done all the time. Like, how many times do you think your phone's listening to you?
Yeah.
Right? Because you get a message at a particular, or you speak to someone. I think we can do better at that in recruiting. I think that there's a lot. What I like to look at is I look at the industries that are a little bit further ahead than the
Yeah.
recruiting industry, and then what we can bring into our industry as well. And I think personalization at scale is going to be the next opportunity, both for the candidate experience and also the client experience. Our AI at the moment that we've released, and by the time this airs, the name will be there. So I haven't shared the name. Remembers everybody as an individual, everybody's context, and has a personalized discussion with them. So as soon as you go in, it loads up who you are, understands who you are, and then that should be the same for the outreach. You shouldn't receive any outreach that's kind of blanket or bland. Obviously, you mentioned somebody that you're responding to, but what's your opinion on that in terms of the BD side and the take? And then also, last thing I'll say is systems. You need a system. It can't just be one and done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's being persistent and polite, personalized. I think
We got 3P here. Ding, 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 ding.
like I did that.
Persistent, polite, and personalized.
When it comes to personalization, I think you hit the nail on the head. The personalization, I think what personalization has started to become for a lot of people is, hey, let's just pull kind of random stuff from the profile. Because I get some of these messages where it'll be like, Joel, I love this about you. I saw you do that. So you comment on, Jamie's post.
That was
Okay.
old school. That did work when social media just came out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That was like 15 years ago. I'll tell you how I know when it's an AI. I'll tell you exactly how I know. On our company name, we've got a trademark.
Yeah.
If you send me a note and my trademark is included in that,
Yeah, you just know.
I just know.
It's the same thing too, and, like, I know on LinkedIn right now, my company says I got, like, 50 people working for me, but it's just all bots. Like, some reason LinkedIn has just
Well, you got
allowed.
50 AI agents working for you.
No, I wish. No, it's 50 LinkedIn random pro it's so weird. I don't know why LinkedIn doesn't, do anything.
I posted a message just yesterday, and I think that there should be a human into.
I saw that. That was such a good post, man. That was
It didn't do very well. People are like, one guy goes, I didn't even respond to him. He'll probably know he's in it. He said, no more human. He was in TA. And he said, bro, no more human. I was about to say, bro, I think that you're an AI, but I didn't. but I was talking to somebody about it the other day because I think for verification, right? It's not
Yeah.
that it should be another internet. But if all the bots are in one place, do you want to be in the same place? He said, like, go to the farmer's market, dude. Like, okay, I get it. But
I think the internet was probably
the internet was the wrong word.
Yeah, you should have we need a social media space that's just for humans.
Online.
Space online that's just humans. And because now we are seeing, like, it's the content, the commenting, the messaging. But I think like I was saying, that personalization is not just pulling random things that someone's done or, like, random things from a profile. It's the point that you made where it's being relevant and understanding the problem that someone might have.
Yeah.
That's why you need the personalization. So you've got to look at, all right, how big is this person's business? What are they looking to achieve? What have they done? Where are they looking to go? And if you can start to get AI to help you understand that at scale, then you're gonna send out messages. Because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna buy something because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'll buy something if you identify a problem that I'm having in a moment in time.
The fact that you squeezed and you're a Liverpool fan, they just won. It's just this has got nothing to do with our
I got
podcast.
no problems right now with I will buy from you if you but you know what I'm saying? It's like, or just because I'm I went to a certain school, I'm not gonna buy from you just for that. I have to have a problem, and you have to come with a solution that costs less than the value that you're gonna bring.
Yeah.
That's how I'm gonna make a buying decision every time. So that's what AI needs to figure out, and I think it can be done, but I think what people fall into is, "Oh, yeah, well, we can read through the LinkedIn profile and summarize it and send a personalized message."
It's not personalized. It's not
not.
personalized. It's summarized is not personalized.
Exactly.
All right, we're moving on
Exactly.
now because we don't have much time. So we're going to get onto our rapid fire.
All right, rapid fire.
I'm going to ask you a question. If you've got a question, you can ask me as well.
Yeah.
But the labor market, the US labor market update.
Yeah.
There was some data that had revealed about the impact of changing policies on the job market. Is it real or fake that the job market has, specifically for scientific research and development postings, increased by 18%?
The job postings have increased by 18%.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's fake. Fake news.
Yeah, Joel. Correct. Joel Lalgee, you are correct. That is fake news.
I'm a genius.
The scientific research and development postings are down by 18%. So since January, according to Indeed, the drop is tied to federal funding cuts, with DC especially hit hard. For recruiters in specialized sectors, this is my point of view, it's a cue to remap your sourcing strategies. Candidates from R&D may soon pivot towards adjacent fields. Think about healthcare, private biotech, climate AI, opening up a new sector across the industry. So if you're not working for the government, you may go into commercial. These people are needed, but the government is not posting those roles.
I got a rapid fire for you
Oh
because
my
I'm probably
gosh.
cheese
All
on
right.
this.
Okay.
And don't worry, it's not in the newsletter. So and this one's off the top of the research.
Oh, you just made this one up, have you, John?
Yeah. So my long way of saying that. All right. My question to you is, do you think this ends up in a result that shows that Workday and ATSs have been ageist and there's something going on with the algorithm? Or do you think it's just a really tough job market and people aren't hearing back?
I will not be commenting on legal matters for Workday. I was a Fortune 500 executive at a $24 billion company. So this is out of my scope, out of zone.
Do you?
Let's
Okay,
put this
well,
out for the listeners. I think the listeners should comment on that. That
I
is,
think that'd be great.
yeah.
That'd be great. I want to know. I just want to know, is there genuine, is there something genuine going on here, or is it just a tough job market? Let us
No,
know
do you
what
know
you
what?
think.
So anecdotally, I've spoken to a lot of people who have been, let's say, more experienced, and they're finding it difficult once they've come out of a job,
Yeah.
to get the same type of job. I think that there's a lot happening there. I think that we talked about earlier, the great reshuffle. You're going to have executives making the decisions. Then you're going to have the front line who are kind of hungry, really interested in proving what they can do. And then you've got this middle layer. I don't think that there is going to be a growth in the middle layer. And you also see it in the United States as well, right? Like you've got the haves and the have-nots. And I think that at the moment, that is continuing to grow that gulf, and you'll see it first in jobs.
Yeah.
So what's the advice, right? Like, look, you've either got to keep pushing, go senior. You can, if you're kind of fed up with that environment, reinvent, right? Maybe you look for a new industry, but I think that you have to bring the energy. It's less about maybe how many years you've been on the planet, but more about what's the value that you're going to add. And I think people are questioning that they may not need that type of person that's at the middle level. They even need a senior executive, or they need someone on the front line. But I think that will change as well. You always see that some of those roles get hired back in once you start to scale. If you scale too many people on the front line, you need managers to manage those folks.
Would you advise young people to go into corporate America right now? Or would you say, hey, go into the trades? Because I've been seeing more and more of that.
Would I advise young people to go into corporate America? I think it depends on where your skills are, where your strengths are, where you can have an outweighed advantage. If you think that you're someone that wants to probably maybe work outside or work with your hands or work with people, like, you should lean into that. I think there's a huge opportunity, obviously. But maybe if you're, let's say you're an artist, right? So you could do that outside or inside. The question is AI going to take over your artwork? However, like, we have somebody that came as an artist and they've converted into UX designer, right? So I think it's about understanding where your skills do not exist and then going into that industry sector or segment and adding value. So again, if we go back to those jobs that job postings have gone down in the government. There's some really good people that have been working there. Amazing. But they're not valued in the government right now for whatever reason. So where can you take those skills and use that to increase your net worth or in your value? So I always think about like, where are your skills not? So you want to look at the areas where people are trying to make a move. And we were talking about this earlier as well. Look at fast growing companies. Look at fast growing companies that want your skills and want domain expertise. But I think young people, you've got to decide what makes sense for you. And also you've got to try a few things at the buffet before you decide what you want to eat.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. Well, that's the show. That's episode 1 of the new format.
Well, we have got a job of the week that we are going to go through. And the job of the week is the EQ, Client Services and Account Manager job. We are hiring. We are hiring for people to work with EQ. We're hiring at different levels, interns and senior. So if you're interested, please reach out. There will be a link and you can also reach out on EQ.app.
Sweet. You get to work with Marcus, which is amazing.
All right. If you want to connect with me, you can reach out on LinkedIn, MARCUS SAWYERR, 2 R's on LinkedIn. That's one place. But check us out on EQ.app and you'll find the link to the community. If you're hiring or you're in recruiting and you want to figure out what your AI strategy should be, reach out. Happy to have a discussion with you or connect you with one of our team.
I love it. And if you want to connect with me, Joel Lalgee, realist recruiter. I'm not gonna spell my last name out. You should know how it's spelled. But come find me on LinkedIn. And any comments you have, any questions you have, let us know as well. Always looking for talking points. Always looking for questions as well. Let us know what you think about Workday. What's going to happen with that? Would love your comments. And looking forward to talking soon.
The next show, we will just tease the next show. We are going to be talking about how AI is going to impact industries that are not necessarily technologically advanced. So look out for the next episode and look forward to speaking to you soon.
It's been real, Marcus. We'll talk soon.
Cheers.
See you, everyone.
If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone in your network, your team, your boss, or that recruiter still stuck in 2015. Be sure to follow the show so you never miss what's next in hiring and AI. Until next time.